All right, how's everyone doing? I'm Rich CELENZA. Thanks for tuning into the Rich CELENZA Show. WTF are you talking about? So what I want to call this podcast is Taking It All In. So I was with my uncle the other day and at a wedding. And I actually put up a profile pic of two of my favorite uncles, my Italian uncles I love very much. They're getting older. I even went to Italy with them not long ago. And he was one of the guys who really helped push me to go make films when I was younger. He also was the one who told me, if you want to make movies, get around people that make movies. Because I was only around different types of guys that were basically more in the nightclub business, restaurants, hung out, we gambled. And he previously was very involved with the gambling business when he was younger as well. But my Uncle Tony, we were all talking, and he says, Richie, when we went to Italy with you, and I realized that when we do certain things together, you're taking it all in. And it really kind of caught me off guard because I always thought I was kind of a one-track mind guy because I travel so much, and now with an iPhone, I watch videos, but I can go from literally one city to another, catch two flights, and not even remember most of my day because I was able to program myself to block everything out. So like I'll go on a plane for 3 hours, it feels like 5 minutes. I know that sounds absolutely crazy. Either I sleep, write, study, edit videos. I'm always keeping myself busy. So I'm blocking everything out. That's kind of how I perceive that. But then as I thought about what he said, I figured out he's absolutely right to a certain degree. And I think when I was making my films, when you direct a film, because I directed a couple films, you have to look at the big picture. And when everything is going around, you have to control that environment to a certain degree. I'm not telling you I'm not saying you control your actors in every move, but yeah, a lot of times they have dialogue, and a lot of times you're putting them in a certain type of outfit. It's a certain time period, and you may have cars, you may have whatever. You have to control the environment. You have to take all that in, and really none of it matters unless you get it on the screen. So you have to realize there's all this shit going on, and you want to get it inside this little screen so you can obviously videotape it and then go edit it. So I think that's where that really started, but I was really thinking about that, and I think a lot of us in life, we don't take it all in. We kind of almost, and I think I used to do this, want to get everything over with as quickly as possible, regardless what it is to a certain degree. Now, I'm not saying when you're with your friends or your buddies that you're going out to like I went to a Chicago Bears game, and I'm sitting in Soldier Field, and that's one of my favorite places in the world. I don't want that to end. I almost would sit there for 20 hours. I almost feel like I'd go there every day. For some reason, I don't watch a lot of baseball on television, but when I go to Wrigley to watch a Cubs game or watch the Cubs play anywhere, or even football anywhere, I just absorb it. I love it. I almost feel like I'm in heaven. But let's take the rest of our life a lot of times, especially when working. I think we work or do things just to get it over with. We're almost not enjoying the ride. And I always talk about it's the adventure. That is what's most valuable. But I think sometimes when we don't realize that till we get much older, we're like, oh my God, that journey was amazing. It's not just about the end result. But if you're somebody kind of who like that kind of always wants to get things over, and I remember even when I was getting married, the day I got married, which was a beautiful, wonderful day, I just kind of wanted, I don't want to say I want to get it over with. I just knew there were so many steps that we had to go through, and we got married at like the Basilica downtown Chicago, which is a monster church. It's, I think, the biggest in the Midwest. And our mass was like 3 hours long. We had a few priests. I had a huge, I knew I had to do, you get married and you knew you had to do photos in the church. Then we didn't even have enough time to go do professional photos at the studio we had planned. Then you got to get to the wedding. Then you got to meet everyone. And dinner and this and that. And I was like, it's almost like I wanted it to just keep moving quickly. A lot of times I think that's what our life's about. We're not enjoying the little nuggets along the way, if that makes sense. So if you are one of those people who kind of wants to just get things done very quickly, which I think more than ever a lot of us do that, I see us getting things done quickly so we could just get home and either put on Netflix or the television, or get things done quickly so we could get back on our phones. So we're actually more absorbed or more focused in on what our phone or the information our phone is giving us than the information that we're gathering around just in our lives in general, which kind of blows me away because I catch myself doing that. And even when I was just downtown Chicago, and I did a couple videos. I did one at the Bean, the famous Bean. What do they call that? The Cloud. I forgot the first name of that. How would I forget that? I just put a YouTube video up on it, and then I went to Italy. I go there usually, and then I went and my daughter loves Nutella. That's one of the reasons I took her to Italy. Let me get some water. Sorry about that. That's one of the reasons I went to Italy to show her, because she loves Nutella, my oldest daughter. And then I took her to a Nutella cafe on Michigan Avenue. There's only like 12 in the entire country. Maybe the world. I take that back. So I took her there, and she loved it. I just did a couple videos, and I was going to start doing other videos of all these places. I said, you know what, let me just enjoy this. Let me, again, take this all in, even though I've been to Chicago. I used to live in the city. But by me just stepping back with my daughter and her friend and walking it and just looking and totally focusing in on really my surroundings, I was amazed at what I saw. And I have been there. I can't even tell you. I don't even know how many times I've been to Chicago. Like I said, I was born outside Chicago. I even lived in the city. But just by me that afternoon, or that evening as well, walking the streets and looking at everything, I was like, how did I not know this was there? How did I not know this Mexican restaurant was here? How did I not know, oh my God, look at that building. I don't think I've ever seen that. Taking it all in again was actually unbelievable. It almost exhausted me. And then we had to go to the Bears game that night. So I sat down, and when I was there again, instead of just focusing in and zooming in the game, which is what I usually do, depending on where my seats are, I kind of just sat back and I was just like scoping Soldier Field, and we got to walk around it like instead of just running inside the stadium, instead of just running to my seats or running to grab something to drink, I just kept sitting back and saying, today, let me just take this all in. I kept thinking about my uncle was saying. And the more I took it in, the more almost stimulated I became, and the more almost information I was gathering in my head. And I think what happens is a lot of times we're rejecting things because it's almost like we're being too cluttered. So I'm usually trying to get to a destination. All I'm thinking about is my destination. And I don't care about anything else around me. Actually, it's aggravating me. Even if I'm driving in a car, if I'm in traffic, which is understandable, I'm getting aggravated because all I want to do is get to this destination. But sometimes even being in a car downtown Chicago, I just started looking around, watching people, how they're dressed, how they're acting, all these different type of things. Again, taking it all in. It was just a totally different environment, and it kind of calmed me down. Because I think also when we have one-track minds and we kind of don't take it all in, we're letting everything else stress us out. And what's kind of interesting is, and I don't like to be late for anything, so I usually start off real early. But even if I'm starting off early, and I see this with people, especially going to the airport's a perfect example. They're stressing to get to the airport when there really is no reason to stress, right? I think it's because a plane is taking off with or without them. Where in life in general now, especially with texting and everything, you can kind of be late. You can kind of bullshit around, change plans, change times, all that type of thing, like that type of stuff. But with an airport, people will go 2-3 hours early, or while they're going there, they're freaking out. You could just see the anxiety. Even people I'm with, they have all this anxiety till they get to the gate, and then they're like, like, you didn't need all that anxiety along the way. You understand that, right? And that, I think, with a lot of things in life, with work especially, I think a lot of people go to work having all this anxiety, either getting there and then also trying to complete their tasks, which I understand. But again, if you kind of sat back and more or less, I'm not saying enjoyed every aspect of the project, but if you just sat back and enjoyed, even your ride to work, or when you get to work, maybe saying hi to a few other people, kind of just looking at your life in general and taking it in, like, really, am I living where I want to live? And if not, how did I end up here? Even a car, a lot of people just go to a car dealership. They just get a car because they need a car. They may get a certain color or kind of certain style, but they usually get convinced to do something maybe they didn't want, or they did. But if they just sat back and took it all in and didn't have the anxiety to say, listen, I'm in control. I'm going to try to find the car I want for the price I want, and just take it in. Like, you got to walk, if you got to go to more than one dealership, or if you got to spend more than one day online trying to find something, it may take you a week, it may take you a month, but take it in, because I think a lot of us also were rushing. And this will be the last thing I really kind of want to cover on this podcast because it kind of all flows to a certain degree. Our life becomes a rush. And I don't know why we were programmed that way. But as we got older is what I should say. Because when I was younger, my immigrant grandparents or a lot of my old timers, they were quite the opposite. Everything was slow, which kind of aggravated me. But it was still, hey, we're going to have some espressos in the morning. Let's relax. Or a cappuccino. Okay, that's nice. Okay, let's make maybe some eggs or figure breakfast out. Okay, let's go pick some berries. Let's go to the garden. You know, I would be in a garden with my grandfather looking at something before I'm even going to school, which is quite interesting. Or then I got back from school, say I was at my grandparents', and he would have something for me to do. But as I was doing it, I was learning certain things. But it wasn't like me running home like when I was with just my mom. I'd either have sports and then you're running home to get your homework done, running home to complete that, running home to eat dinner, running home to watch a TV show. You know, all those type of things were almost rush. For me, now that I'm going on 50, or I'm going to be 50 very soon, the more I rush, the more I feel like I'm losing out. And I think if people just took more time to relax and even maybe get some more sleep, that could be in the morning, maybe take a nap, maybe not, you know, if it's dinner time, we don't have to always, you know, eat dinner as quickly as possible, or breakfast, you're rushing it, you're running in Starbucks, grab a coffee, running out, or all these different types of things, because a lot of us have a lot of time. You just don't want to schedule yourself correctly. As much as people sit around and say, I have no time for this, I have kids, I have no time for that, I'm going to call bullshit on you. I had 2 kids as well. And if you can't do some of the things you like doing, what the hell are you living for? If you're doing everything for everyone else and not doing anything for yourself, or if you have to rush through the things you like to do, so if you like having a cup of coffee and sitting down and relaxing, I'm just using for an example, but you don't have time to do that, you have to run in Starbucks or wherever, Pete's Coffee or wherever you go, and run out, drink it in the car, I'm calling bullshit on you. You are just basically programming yourself to almost not. It's almost like you need an excuse, I think, a lot of people, to not enjoy themselves, to almost become a victim. And I think society a lot of times gets weird now if you say, hey, you know what, I enjoy my life. You know what, when I sleep in on weekends, yeah, I take naps. You know, after work or whatever, I do this. I just chill out. I go play chess. I'm going to just do this. Like, relaxing and enjoying your life a lot of times is almost frowned upon. And especially with social media, I see people when I go places with them, because again, I travel everywhere. I'll meet up with people. I can tell they're rushing and they're almost doing things just to prove to social media that they're enjoying themselves. But I'm with them and I can see they're not enjoying themselves. They're taking a photo of themselves somewhere very quickly or doing something to say, look at me, I'm doing this, and you know, whatever, but I could tell, like, it's kind of a phony thing. They're almost more stressed than they are actually having fun. Living in Orlando, Florida, I learned one thing, especially being around a lot of tourists. And I used to say this about a lot of family members that would come here. They would go to too many parks, so they would try to hit all 4 Disney parks. They would try to hit Universal, which is 2 parks. You're at 6 days of parks. Sometimes they would try to throw in SeaWorld. That's a 7th day. Sometimes they would try to throw in Busch Gardens. That could be an 8th day. Now they have Legoland. That's just basically the main parks. Now I'm not even talking about the 3. Well, they have 4 water parks. Well, now they're down to 3 water parks again. I'm sorry, Wet n Wild's gone. So you have all these parks. So these people come here to go on vacation that they saved a lot of money, work all year. They come here and they kill themselves. They drain their kids. For one, a lot of the kids aren't used to the heat in Florida. They're hitting all these parks thinking they're having a great time, when after 1 or 2, they're all exhausted. You could just see they're drained. A lot of them are sunburned. A lot of them, you can just tell their kids are screaming. They're cranky. But in their brain, they think they have to do all these things. I think as a parent, maybe. But I used to say you're kind of abusing your kids. And I've even had cousins come. Hold on, let me get some water. And I'd be like, how many parks are you going to hit? They're like, well, we got to hit all 4 Disney parks, or we're going to hit 2 or 3, and then we're definitely hitting 2 Universal, and then we want to do the pool, we want to do Blizzard Beach, we want to do Typhoon Lagoon. I'm like, what are you talking about? Do you know what that's going to entail? I'm not talking financially, but just to cover one park like Magic Kingdom takes about 2 days, at least, I think. At least. Why not just hit, say, 3 parks in 7 days? What, get a break in between. Maybe do a water park. Maybe one day you go to a hotel and you just walk around. Maybe go to a mall. You have to take breaks. But again, if you're in a rush to do all these things, how much are you enjoying that? And how much is your kids enjoying that? And I think a lot of us are programmed that way to do certain things. Our parents did that too, to rush, 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 rush. I get it. A lot of parents want our kids to enjoy so many different things. I didn't mean to go onto a tangent with the kids. But I think we do that within our own lives too. Because even when we went to Italy, I'll just use for another example, when we started up north and we basically went all the way down to Sorrento and then we went back up north. We were rushing to a certain degree. But I'll tell you this much, every place I went to with my uncles and cousins, we all stopped. I says, we're going to relax, we're going to have coffee, we're going to eat here. Even in Rome, even when we went to the town of Naples, we have a lot of family. We just went and spent time with family. It wasn't like I had to get into Naples and go to all these museums and then figure out where every place my grandfather, where he was at, where he lived, all these things. I said, listen, we're going to take Naples in. We're going to walk the streets. We're going to be doing things that are very just, more local. And I think I learned that just being in Orlando, Florida, living in a tourist world, and then traveling so much is I usually only hang out in places that are local. That doesn't mean I don't mind chains or mall, because I'm usually in malls, but when I visit certain places, I'll, for instance, go to Little Italy if there's one in their town, and no matter where they're at. Or I'll go where I know there's a lot of Italian restaurants because that's what I like to eat and drink. But I usually go to all local places. I ask either the hotel concierge, I research online, I try to find people that live in the area, and I want to take it all in. I don't want to take it in a lot of times as a tourist. Just that's a little tidbit that I do. Do some research, because a lot of times when you're going to places, doing a lot of things that like every tourist does or what everybody else does, that's kind of cool. But I think to really get a feel on a lot of cities, states, countries, you want to go where the locals go, because usually that's what I believe where you're going to get the most culture. It's not a fake. A lot of things are just fake, man. You got to realize it. If you want something authentic, you're going to kind of have to go off the grid a little bit. So I just thought I'd throw that in there. But yeah, I'm going to wrap this thing up here. But yeah, please take it all in, and teach your kids to do that if you have kids, and if you have parents. I'm trying to do that with my dad, even my mother. Relax, calm down, right? I don't care if you're in a car. I don't care where you're going. If you just walk to a park and just look around, or go to a festival, just chill out and relax, because truthfully, I always talk about this. This may be your last day on the face of the earth. You never know what's going to happen to you. Enjoy it. Don't be that dude or woman or whoever that you died and you look back and go, Jesus Christ, I really didn't get to do what I really wanted to do. I didn't get to visit the places I wanted to visit. So yeah, learn to take it all in and just stop and think. I did a podcast on that. Just learn to sit down and think, or lay down and think. Think about what you want to do. Think about your life. And is it really the one you want to be living, right? All right. If you get a chance, you could check me out on YouTube. I've been putting a lot of videos up there, basically on fitness lately. I put up a bunch of workouts up there that I do, different gyms all over the country, my favorite restaurants in unique places. I'm on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter as well. And you can find out all my information on richcelenza.com. And I talk a little bit about this on my Mastering Self-Confidence program as well, where I'm trying to help guys kind of with their identity, or help them with grooming, fashion, fitness, and helping them find the woman or women of their dreams. I talk about putting themselves in the right place at the right time to find the right women or woman. So if you dig anything like that, you might want to check that out as well. All right, take care, and if you're traveling, safe travels.